Hey, what's going on, guys? You guys seem to really enjoy that last video I did called Why I'm Buying Original Xbox Games in 2023, so I figured I'd go ahead and do another video similar to that, except today we'll be covering the PlayStation 2. This video was also one that was requested by one of our channel members named Computer Magic. He's also one of my mods on Discord, so shout out to him. Anyway, I apologize in advance if the angle of the camera or like the positioning changes throughout the video. I'm kind of like trying to mess with it here, get it to a good spot so then you guys are able to see me and the games well throughout the video. I don't even know where to begin with this. I'm just looking at a whole pile of games right now. I probably won't be able to go in depth and talk about like each one like I would want to if I want to get this done in a timely manner. I mean, otherwise we'd probably be stuck here for a good hour or two, if not longer. I guess we'll just start over here. First, well, I'll start with the one that's right on top, okay? VeggieTales, Larry Boy, and the Bad Apple. This is essentially like one of those early 2000s 3D platformers, you know, you think like Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Crash Bandicoot. It's sort of like that. It also has collectathon elements similar to something like Battle for Bikini Bottom or SpongeBob the movie game. And as you probably guessed, it takes place in the VeggieTales world. You play as Larry Boy, you're fighting the Bad Apple, and if you haven't played it before, you know, I would say that I wouldn't go too deep into spoiler territory, but considering that this is a 3D platformer, you know, there's not a whole lot in terms of a deep story to spoil. However, that being said, there's a lot of fun twists and gameplay mechanics that are introduced in this game that are actually really unique. Let me also say that I am very biased, and this game is very nostalgic for me. This game released in 2006, so, yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia riding on this one for me. I really enjoy this game, and I end up playing it like, I don't know, once every year, once every 2 years. I really enjoy it. It's also a bit on the shorter side, and it doesn't go for too much on eBay nowadays. You can pick up a copy for less than $20, and you could play through it in an evening. Next up, we got Space Chimps. This is a movie tie-in game for the, you know, Space Chimps animated movie. Honestly, I never saw Space Chimps. However, I've beaten this game multiple times, not only on PlayStation 2, but also the Wii version. I thoroughly enjoy this game. Once again, it's another 3D platformer. You're gonna see a lot of those. I love like 3D platformers, action platformers. You're actually gonna see just a lot of variety, period, here. I play a wide variety of games, whether that be action platformers, action games, first-person shooters, third-person shooters, RPGs, puzzle games, strategy games. Like, I play a wide variety of things. Again, this game is genuinely a good time. Like, it's really fun. There's also an Xbox 360 version of this, so if you were to check out this game, I would probably recommend that version, so then you can, you know, experience it in HD. Next up, we have 2 copies of one of my favorite games of all time, that being the Godfather the game, and then the Godfather the game. It's a limited edition. This copy actually isn't technically mine. This one is just like my mom's, but I've just kind of been like holding on to it just so then, you know, it's somewhere safe, it's in my collection, it'll never get lost, and then, you know, anytime that she wants to revisit it on her PS2, I'd, you know, obviously gladly give it back to her to play. But this one is actually my copy that I purchased a little bit later on, because growing up when I was younger, I used to, you know, share a copy with my mom, obviously, and then once I started building my own collection and getting my own games, I went to a retro game store, and then I found this, the Godfather limited edition. They had it there for literally $7, but as you can see, it comes with a nice like cover sleeve, cardboard sleeve, whatever you want to call it. It's real nice, real shiny, and then inside it has like a special cover of the game. It's actually pretty cool. Inside it comes with like a map of the game, then you have the game, like the normal standard game right there, and then over here there's like a bonus disc that comes with like soundtrack stuff and concept art. It's actually really cool. You know, the older I've gotten, I've kind of become a sucker for things like that, you know, like concept art and behind the scenes stuff and OSTs, so, you know, I really appreciate when limited editions come with stuff like that. I'm not even gonna look over there. I'm just gonna start grabbing random games, and we're just gonna kind of talk about them as I grab them, and I am very glad that I grabbed these 2, and since I grabbed these 2, I actually need to grab the other one that kind of coincides with these. So the first 2 that I grabbed are LEGO Star Wars 1, the video game, and LEGO Star Wars 2, the video game. I mean, we all know why these games are great. Oh my gosh, look at that, like a classic GameStop sticker. I remember going to GameStop and picking this one up. Y'all even remember when GameStop actually sold PS2 games? Then we also have LEGO Indiana Jones 1 and LEGO Batman the video game, and this is my original copy from 2008. I've had this copy of this game for 15 years, and as you can see, you know, I take very good care of my games. It's still in pristine condition. It has like the manual and the disc and all of that, and yeah, this is in my top 5 favorite games of all time. And even though this isn't technically the best version of this game in terms of performance and graphics and resolution, it's still the one that I go back to when I want to replay the game, just because there's so much nostalgia for me tied to this game when it comes to like booting up the PS2, seeing the startup of the PS2, and then getting into the game, holding the controller. It's just a whole lot of nostalgia for me. Obviously, I have it on like the Xbox 360 and PC and PS3, and I have all these other ways to play it, but this will always be my go-to version. Go ahead and keep things moving here. I got a couple of games that, you know, I don't have as much to say about, so we'll just kind of glance at them and talk about them a little bit. First off is Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. This is essentially just like a Mario Kart type game. It's not really like Mario Kart. It's not a kart racer. It's like, it's a racing game with Sonic, and it has like the zero gravity elements that kind of remind me of like Mario Kart 8, which obviously that game didn't come out till way later. Honestly, I had a lot of fun with this game too back in the day. I didn't play it a whole lot, but I did play it, you know, a decent number of times. I definitely recommend, you know, picking it up or trying it if you see it at a retro game store, if you see it for a good price on eBay. Definitely worth at least checking out. And then next up, we have another racing game. I also have a good number of racing games on here. Ski-Doo Snow X Racing. I know this probably seems like completely random, but it's essentially, as you could expect, you know, you're on snow. What are those things called? It's like snow jet skis? It's like jet skis for snow. I can't even remember what they're called right now, but it's a racing game centered around that, you know. It's more of, it's one of those like AA type titles, I guess you could call it, but that one was genuinely fun. Next up, we got EA Sports NBA Live 2003. Honestly, this one's beat up pretty bad. This one, I definitely got to replace the case on at some point. Like I said, I do take very good care of my games. However, I bought this one from a library, so, you know, that's kind of why the case is a little messed up, because they had some games that they were trying to sell off, and I bought this for like a quarter. Actually, no, my brother bought this for a quarter. I remember, because there was another one that I bought. I can't even remember which one I bought, but this is what my brother bought for like a quarter, and then he ended up not really playing it, so then, you know, he's kind of told me to hold on to it. So I've held on to this one, and I definitely want to at least replace the case at some point, just so, you know, it can look a little bit better than how it does right now. Next up, we got Monsters vs. Aliens. This is another tie-in game. That's once again, I'm saying this for like the third or fourth time here. You're gonna see a lot of those in this collection, but I love my movie tie-in games. I've always thought it's so cool to like replay the events of a movie or a show in video game form, and this was another example of that. Not much to say about this game as well. It's just, it's a good tie-in game. A little bit of action, a little bit of platforming, just, you know, your stereotypical like movie tie-in game from the early to mid 2000s. This game came out in 2009. That is 14 years ago. I am literally fossilizing before my own eyes. Next up, we got Naruto Uzumaki Chronicles. Oh my gosh, I have so many memories with this game, and the sad thing is, this isn't my original copy. I had to pick this up again like just recently, like a couple of months ago, because I don't even know where my original copy went. I've moved a couple of times in my life, so it's possible that somewhere in one of those moves it just got jumbled up and lost, but man, this game, it's absolutely phenomenal. If you like Naruto and you have a PS2, or you were thinking about collecting for PS2, or if you have a PC with, you know, like the PCSX2 emulator and you're okay with like downloading ROMs and trying it out, please give this game a chance. Just, it's so good. While we're talking about this, if you've never played Rise of the Ninja on the Xbox 360, that one goes for a little bit more nowadays. It goes for somewhere in the ballpark of like $20 to $30, I think, but it's worth every penny. That's another one that is so underrated, and it is so good. Next up, just kind of grabbing more random games from the pile here. We have two classic games, one questionable one, and another movie tie-in. So let's go ahead and talk about another one of my favorite games of all time. If you couldn't tell, that's a common theme with the PS2, okay? The if I had to choose a favorite system, it would be hard for me to do that, because I have a love and respect for each generation of gaming for different reasons and different games that I love on each console, obviously. But when it comes to like looking back at a generation that I lived through and like all the games that came out and just like where I was at the time, because obviously I was, you know, just like younger and happy and innocent or whatever. Basically what I'm trying to say is like the console that holds a lot of sentimental value for me and has been there for like, you know, the majority of my life, it would be the PS2. The PS2 is the one that has been a part of my life for longer than any other console I could think of. I mean, the SNES is up there, but I definitely spent more time with the PS2 overall, so I'd have to go with that. But anyway, back to the games. This is one of those games that's just been there for me for years. This game released in 2008, and I know for a fact that I got this copy the year that movie or this game came out, so yeah, I've been holding on to this copy for 15 years now, and this is the same exact copy that I had back then. I love this game so much that I actually ended up repurchasing it recently for the Xbox 360, and when I say recently, I mean like 2 years ago. I'm at that point in my life where recently or not that long ago is literal years, but I ended up buying Kung Fu Panda, and it was like Kung Fu Panda and Indiana Jones and like a dual pack. I mean, if you bought a lot of dual packs for the 360 back in the day, or if you were younger and you used to buy games like that to save some money, then you know exactly what I mean. But yeah, it had Kung Fu Panda and Lego Indiana Jones, and I ended up beating both of those games on my Xbox 360. The Kung Fu Panda, it looks really good in HD. Same for Lego Indiana Jones. I love playing Lego games in that crisp HD, just something about seeing the plastic pieces and all the reflections. Next up, we got Jeep Thrills, another kind of like run-of-the-mill AA racing game. A lot of fun with this one back in the day, and then two classics, right? Ooh, this case looks a little not so good. I'll definitely have to replace this one at some point. See, I ordered these two as part of like a lot, you know, I ordered them together. I got them for a steal, you know, I bought them for a pretty good price, but yeah, I'll definitely have to replace this case. It seems like the cover art is fine though. Anyways, this is GTA 3 and Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Not too much to say about these games. Everybody knows why they're good. And thankfully, despite the case being a little messed up, as you can see, there's no like obnoxious GameStop stickers or anything like that. Especially, look at the GTA 3 case. Can we just admire how good this case looks? I mean, this game was printed a solid 22 years ago, I'm sorry, and it still looks absolutely phenomenal. I haven't just sat here and held the GTA 3 case in a while, so I have a lot of emotions going through me. I'm genuinely trying not to cry right now. It's just, oh my gosh, that feeling of nostalgia, especially, I have so much nostalgia for this game. I'm trying not to cry right now, but every time I see this cover and I think about the theme song and then just like diving in and playing the game, it's just, oh my, there's literally so many memories with this game. And the same can honestly be said for like Vice City. GTA 3 was my first like GTA game, but like Vice City, when I hold this one, this is another one where if I booted up right now, I'd probably cry. Unfortunately, I don't have San Andreas on PS2. I have it on literally every other console that it was released for, even like mobile, like iOS and Android and all that, but for some reason I never had it on PS2. Let's go ahead and move through another chunk of these games here. I just talked about these games recently on the channel, so we're not going to dwell on them for too long. If you want to hear more about these games, I recommend going to check out my video called Who Remembers Crash to Insanity, but anyway, that is Crash Nitro Kart, Crash to Insanity, and Crash Tag Team Racing. All three of these games are absolutely phenomenal. Tag Team Racing and Nitro Kart are, you know, more like racing games. Meanwhile, Twinsanity is more like your classic Crash platformer, and it's actually one of my favorite Crash Bandicoot games of all time. It is an absolute blast. So much charm, so much love. It's just, and once again, tons of nostalgia riding on this one, okay? So yeah, I absolutely love Crash. I love all three. I love anything Crash, okay? I'm a sucker for Crash. If Crash Bandicoot is in the title, even if it's something like Mind Over Mutant or Crash of the Titans, I'm bound to love it. And in fact, I actually do love those games. And I even like the ones on the GBA. They had like the games that was like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro. They were kind of like tie-in games. Honestly, can't even remember what the names of the games were, but there was like an orange Spyro game, and then there was like a purple Crash game. You know what I'm talking about. Whew, we got some more bangers right here. Okay, so we got 3 bangers to cover, but first let's cover this one. Brunswick Pro Bowling. I remember my grandma bought this for me because at my grandmother's house, right, she had a Wii. I used to go there, and obviously I loved Wii Sports, and I loved Wii Sports Bowling, and I wanted a game that allowed me to do that at my own house. So she got me this because I had a PS2, obviously. And yeah, I actually had a lot of fun with it. Even though it wasn't the same thing as using the motion controls on the Wii, it was still bowling, and there's something about bowling that I've always loved, whether it be in games, in real life. It's just so satisfying. You throw the ball, all the pins go down. It's just, I love bowling. Which is also why I'm probably one of the only humans alive that never got annoyed of Roman asking me that in Grand Theft Auto 4. In fact, every time he asked me, I went bowling. It didn't matter what I was doing, except for if I was in the middle of a mission. Obviously, you can't just cancel the mission and go bowling. But if I was like in the open world, just kind of free roaming and messing around, I always stopped what I was doing and I went bowling with him. I love bowling. A few more classics to cover right here. Call of Duty Finest Hour, which for those of you that don't know, this was the first Call of Duty to ever be released on console, and boy, did they knock it out of the park. This game is absolutely phenomenal. In fact, I think I am due for a replay of this game. The last time that I played through this game was back in 2011, I believe, so it's been a solid 12 years since I played through this game. It does not feel that long ago. I can remember vividly the day that I beat this and how ecstatic I was, but wow, yeah, I'm definitely due for a replay on this one. In fact, I also just picked up a copy for the original Xbox not that long ago, and I believe I actually did cover it in the video that I made covering original Xbox games. So I might play it over on that system since I just picked up that copy and I never beat it over there yet. Next up, we got Burnout Dominator, one of the most underrated Burnout games of all time. This game was absolutely amazing. I feel like I've been using that adjective for everything, just absolutely amazing, but I mean, I can't help it. These games, that's exactly what they are. They're phenomenal. This game had some really cool mechanics, you know, with the boosting stuff. You drive dangerously, drive on the wrong side of the road, get near misses, crash into enemies, try to knock them out, and build up your boost meter, and it's like, it's one of the most, like, intense racing games I've ever played. I don't even know how to describe it. They put so much emphasis on, like, genuinely fighting your opponents to build up your boost meter and keep yourself on top. It's like you're clawing for the top in every race, and I absolutely love it. It is so chaotic, and the fact that they got it to run so buttery smooth on the PS2 now, you know, memory's gonna tell me that this game was 1080p, 60 FPS, just because, you know, that's how the rose-tinted goggles are, you know what I mean? You look back, and, you know, everything was all crisp and running smoothly, but then when you go back a couple years later, you're like, oh, this game was actually running at like 480p and 30, sometimes 20 FPS. This is one of those games I know that if I pop it in right now, it probably holds up quite well, because this game, even back then, it was quite the looker, it ran great, and this is just one of those games that flies way below the radar, and I highly recommend this one. Batman Vengeance, this was a Batman game before Arkham, you know, ever since Arkham came out, you know, we haven't really had a Batman game that diverges from that style of game. Sure, you had the Telltale ones like the original Batman series, and then Enemy Within, which was like a season 2 to the original Telltale Batman series. But this was at a time when there wasn't like a set standard for Batman games, and this one was based off of the animated series from the 90s, which I grew up loving. I grew up watching that show, okay? Like every time that a new episode aired on TV, or by the time that one movie come out, like I was always, if it was Batman animated series, I was all over it. And then even further down the line, when they were doing reruns on TV, I always recorded it to my DVR. Shout out to any of you guys that remember when you could like record things to your DVR just so you could like skip the commercials. But anyway, I'd always save it to my DVR just so then I had them all there and I go through watching them. I had like a couple seasons worth like saved to my DVR at one point. Yeah, this game basically just takes that show and puts it into game form, and instead of it being like the cartoon style of art, it's more like 3D model versions of the cartoon characters. It's kind of hard to explain, but all I can say is that this game is a gem. Another one that I highly recommend. It is very, very good. I'm looking at one game right now that I really want to cover, but I feel like it's fitting if I save that for last. So let's go ahead and just pick up another pile of games that I can easily fly through here. So we got Star Wars Bounty Hunter. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to buy another copy of this game, or at least a case-only version of it, because I hate these GameStop cases, and I've actually gone through, and any game that was stuck in a GameStop case, I have like bought other cases or just bought entirely new copies just so I can replace the case. I hate GameStop cases, and with me being a collector, I always like having the official case, the official thing, so this is one that I still gotta replace. But regardless, Star Wars Bounty Hunter, this game, it's one of the Star Wars games that I feel really does not get enough attention. You know, there's a few Star Wars games, kind of like the new Battlefront ones or the OG Battlefront ones, where I'm like, yeah, those get enough love. However, when it comes to Bounty Hunter, no, this one does not get enough love. This game was absolutely amazing. And right here we have Star Wars Battlefront 2. This one's a classic. I mean, I don't even need to talk about it. You guys know why it's so amazing, right? I have Battlefront 2 here, and then I have Battlefront 1, the original Xbox. Just two amazing games, absolutely timeless. I plan to go back and play through the campaigns of Battlefront 1 and 2 again sometime soon, because Battlefront 2, man, oh gosh, I can't even tell you the last time that I played this. It was before 2010. You know, I've played it since then. You know, I've like played as Darth Vader, went through, slashed some rebels or whatever, but I haven't gone through and like played the campaign anytime recently. All right, we got some SpongeBob games here. So we got SpongeBob Atlantis SquarePantis. This is kind of like a mini game collection in the SpongeBob world. It's based off of that like one episode. It's not even really like an episode. It was like a hybrid of like a episode and a movie. It was like an extended episode, kind of. They went to Atlantis, you know, just got up to the usual SpongeBob shenanigans. I still watch SpongeBob to this day. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Sure, I'm a grown adult, but I don't care. I still wake up in the morning. And I have like some of the SpongeBob seasons on DVD, so, you know, pop in a DVD and just sit here and watch SpongeBob for a bit. I'm not ashamed to admit it. Anyway, this game was a lot of fun. Again, it's not like a platformer or collectathon like some of the other SpongeBob games by any means. It's more like a mini game collection, but I had a lot of fun with that one. And then these two, I have two copies of SpongeBob the movie game because, well, one of these doesn't work, and then the one case was kind of messed up, so I went ahead and just ordered another copy on eBay recently, and I kind of keep the busted one in my collection just in case. And then SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, another one where, you know, at this point it's been remastered, so you guys know why it's so great, right? It's truly a revolutionary title, and when it comes to replaying that game, even though Rehydrated exists, I still go back to the PS2 version just for nostalgia reasons. We're getting close-ish to the end here, sort of, kind of, not really. We have another couple stack of games here, so we got Disney Skate. This is like Tony Hawk, but with Disney characters. That one was actually a lot of fun. Disney Cars, it's a tie-in movie with the Cars movie. Another one that's really fun. I also love the cosmetics and customization in this game. You can make Lightning McQueen like silver and purple with the one skin. I remember that's the one that I used to always rock. A lot of nostalgia for that one. I played that game a ton back in the day. Cars Racer-Rama, admittedly, I didn't play this one too much. I played through the story mode once back in the day, but I haven't played it since then. That would have been back in 2010. Finding Nemo, once again, another movie tie-in game. But this one was a lot of fun. And then another movie tie-in game, Wall-E, a lot of nostalgia for this one. 100% of this game multiple times on the same memory card. In fact, no, it was actually on two different memory cards. I 100%ed it like 5 times on the one memory card, and then another one I went through and like 100%ed it again, and then I just played through it again last year. I didn't go for 100%, but I got pretty dang close to it. Ghostbusters, the video game. I'm glad that this one got a remaster just a couple of years ago. This game was actually a lot of fun. I remember the graphics and gameplay like genuinely impressing me even when I was younger. I was playing, I was like, whoa. This game runs really good. It looks really good. It feels really good. It truly is a really great game. Next up, we got God of War, an absolute classic. Y'all know why it's great. God of War 1, 2, and 3, that whole trilogy. It's just it's chef's kiss. Don't get me wrong, I love God of War 2018 and God of War Ragnarok, but those original 3 and the ones that were on like PSP, they're just classic. Next up, we got the Raimi Spider-Man games, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. If I had to pick a favorite out of these, or at least one that I played the most, I'd definitely say Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 in particular was just so revolutionary for the time, and even looking back on it nowadays, it's still rather revolutionary. I mean, heck, just look at Insomniac's latest Spider-Man games. I mean, they take heavy inspiration from Spider-Man 2 in terms of like the swinging mechanics and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, the other 2 games were great. However, I got a little frustrated sometimes when I was trying to web swing in Spider-Man 1. I was never able to fully grasp how the web swinging worked in that game. I don't know. There was something weird about the way that the verticality worked in that one. And then Spider-Man 3, it was fun, but I did find myself playing 2 a lot more. Next up, we got Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, another great racing game. I mean, any Gran Turismo game you can't go wrong with. They're all pretty great. After that, we got 2 more Spider-Man games. We got Spider-Man Web of Shadows Amazing Allies Edition. You guys, some of you probably didn't even know that this released on the PS2. So basically, this is like a 2D beat-em-up of sorts. It's based on Web of Shadows, but it's one of those things from the late 2000s, like that trend that was happening in the mid to late 2000s, and it kind of carried over to like the early 2010s, where you'd have multiple versions of a game on different systems with the same cover art and usually even the same title, but they'd be like completely different games. This is one of those instances of that. However, that being said, this is the main version that I actually grew up with before I got to experience the PS3 and Xbox 360 version. And that being said, I mean, I still genuinely enjoy this one. This is still a great game on its own merits. It's different from the other ones, and that's not bad by any means. I mean, I have tons of nostalgia for this, and again, I just replayed this one last year, and I had an absolute blast. Next up, we got Spider-Man Friend or Foe. It's similar to Web of Shadows in that it's a beat-em-up, except this one's in 3D, and you can play as the villains as well, like the villains and Spider-Man team up. You know, you can play Spider-Man, or Doc Ock, or Venom, or Green Goblin. This one's an absolute blast. And then next up, we got Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. This is one of my favorite Star Wars movies and games of all time. It's so good. If you never played this one, it's backwards compatible on Xbox One, so I mean, you literally have no excuse. Whether you snag a copy on eBay or whether you pick it up digitally, this is one that you have to try out. The action is great, the voice acting's great, the animation's great, the cutscenes look great. Overall, it holds up so well, and again, this is another one that I just revisited last year. I revisited a lot of classics last year, if you can't tell. Next up, Street Fighter Anniversary Collection. This comes with Street Fighter 2 and 3, and anybody that knows me knows I have a soft spot for Street Fighter. It's one of my favorite fighting series of all time, and it's one of those series that I grew up on and played a ton as a kid, and I watched that animated Street Fighter movie, if you guys know the one that I'm talking about, a ton back in the day, which this one actually comes with. It comes with the movie on the disc. So you just pop it in, you can cycle between either Street Fighter 2 or 3, or you can boot up the movie and watch that, and I watched that one a ton. And then last but not least, my favorite video game of all time, Resident Evil 4. I mean, the game just got a remake this year. Like, we know why it's so good. We know why it's legendary. It's literally my favorite game of all time. Like, in terms of nostalgia and just, I mean, the fact that I'm speechless and I can't even construct coherent sentences says it all, right? I mean, it's Resident Evil 4. I genuinely love this game. I'll just say this much. Every time I turn on the OST for that game, without fail, every single time, I cry. But anyways, to answer the title of this video of why I'm buying PS2 games in 2023, well, there's a couple of reasons. The first one being just that, you know, game prices are still relatively cheap and they're still quite abundant considering PS2 is one of the best-selling consoles of all time. So, you know, prices for games, they aren't too bad yet, but another reason that I'm buying them now is actually, it kind of goes against that first reason, and that right now, the prices are still reasonable. However, I've been watching them slowly go up over the last couple of years. So I'm trying to go through and collect some of the games that I've been wanting to either get for the first time or repurchase, because there's definitely a ton of games still missing from my collection that I had as a kid or that I've been wanting to revisit, or, you know, one thing or another, or whether there's like games that I still need to get that I haven't played yet for the PS2. So at this point, like I said, I've been watching the prices. You know, it's kind of starting to scare me a little bit. They're kind of getting up there in some of the games. So, you know, I'm trying to be careful. I'm trying to go through and get the games before the prices are completely unreasonable. Again, with the PS2 being one of the best-selling systems of all time, I don't think it's ever gonna get to the point of where it's, you know, you're not able to buy any PS2 game because they're all too expensive. However, it would still be a good idea and go through and, you know, maybe pick up some of the games you've had your eye on for a while. But anyways, that's that. Now I want to hear from you guys. Do you guys collect PS2 games? Is there any PS2 games that you're thinking of picking up after watching this video? Whatever you're thinking, I'd love to hear from you guys. But as always, a shout out to the Patrons and channel members: Karma's Fake Grandma, Liberty Tab, Big Dan, Manny, Chalupasaurus Rex, Razak, Polar, Ray, Webster, Lamont, Miakas, Purgatory, Drippy Son, Mellow, Last King, Creator, Magic, Mason, Irvin, Chihuahua, 15, Flim, 71, Aaron Reynolds, and Unknown. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.